My name is Harley Emmer, and I'm the editor-in-chief of Loch Norse Magazine issue 9. So we're here to just celebrate the virtual release of issue 9. The physical version of the magazine will hopefully be printed in the fall. As of now, you can view the magazine on our website through NKU. A link of the magazine was posted on our social media on Facebook, and I just want to give a huge shout out to all the writers and the artists and the photographers whose work was featured in this magazine. All the work was completely incredible, and I'm just so proud to have gotten to be a part of it, and I really hope you all check it out and just see all the amazing talent that NKU students have to offer. So we're about to start with our featured readers and just jump right into it. So our featured readers are the graduating staff of Loch Norse Magazine. We have 3 seniors on staff who are graduating in a few weeks. Even though they may not get to have a ceremony or anything, we still want to be able to celebrate them. So our first graduating staff member is our creative nonfiction editor, Lucy Garland. Lucy couldn't be here tonight, but I still wanted to give her a shout out. She's been an amazing CNF editor, and just want to give a huge shout out to her for helping make this magazine possible. And then our next graduating staff member, yes, rounds of applause for Lucy. Our next graduating staff member is Cheyenne Riley, and she's here, they're there, and big round of applause as well. And then our other graduating staff member is me. So I am the editor-in-chief, and I'll be reading tonight as well. So yay me. So yeah. So I guess we're just gonna jump right in, and we're gonna start with this reading, and I'm gonna start off reading. So we're gonna do that. So a little bit about me before I begin. I am an electronic media and broadcasting major with a minor in creative writing. I'm currently just got hired this week and started working at Local 12, and I'm the editor of Loch Norse Magazine issue 9. When I'm not found trying to work on writing my novel, I am reading, making films, hula hooping, or singing along to Disney songs, and that's about my life, or obsessing over Doctor Who. I'm a big Doctor Who fan. So yeah, and so I'm going to be reading a short excerpt from a piece I wrote in Stephen Lay's class. So shout out to you, Stephen. So it was a fiction piece that I wrote few semesters ago. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna kind of start in the middle of this piece, and we will go from there. So this piece is titled Cloud Dragons, and I've always been fascinated with the idea of people living in clouds and in the sky. I don't know why, I just think it's a really cool concept, and so that's kind of where this idea spawned from, and it follows 2 brothers. So that is what I'm going to be reading. So I'm just going to take a drink of water and then I'll start. Okay, here we go. Puffs of cloud sat in his small hands. There was a delicate intimacy as Dante twirled his tiny fingers across the edges of the clouds, twisting and shaping them. Once when he was young, their island sat above a vibrant village for a week. He was engrossed in the town's people and their silly ways. But no one was more fascinating than the balloon man. He blew up a balloon and twisted it into a shape, a piece of art. He made ponies, swans, and fish. He made animals Dante had never even seen before. He could only imagine the fairy tales they came from. Dante was transfixed. Ever since, he had dreamed of creating creatures just like the balloon man. Instead of balloons, Dante used the clouds. Dante enjoyed the dance of creating art, the back and forth pull and push between the artist and the art. Dante twirled his small fingers around the puffs of white clouds. He held them intimately, turning and twisting the clouds into a shape, morphing it into something new. He tugged a piece of the cloud he was sitting on to add the final details to the wings of his cloud creation. He sighed with a hint of relief and admiration at his finished work. A small cloud dragon, very similar to the tiny toy dragon he saw the boy holding from the telescope. Now it was time to bring it to life. He took a breath of air into his lungs, then shaping his lips into an O, he blew air onto the dragon. The wings of the cloud dragon began to flap, slowly at first, then faster, finding its beat. The dragon slowly lifted from Dante's hands. The creature was flying. A laugh escaped from his throat. It had been so long since he'd laughed. He hadn't been able to create art in months, especially not with his brother constantly looming over his shoulder. Dante jumped up from where he had been sitting to chase the dragon around his cloud. He wished his mother could see. Dante! Only now did he realize that his lonely cloud had drifted from the others. All the other clouds had shifted from a bright white to a foreboding gray, and standing on the other side of the sky was his brother. Stefan's broad, dark frame stood out against the graying sky. Except when you looked at Stefan's face, you realized how young he was. Stubble lined his jaw, and puffs of black hair were growing back on the top of his head. Scattered along his face were small nicks from the times he cut himself while shaving. Stefan was still a boy, just 18. Dante was only 8, but it was hard to see his brother as older when he couldn't even control his impulses. Dante! Dante turned his gaze from his brother to search for the cloud dragon. At last he found it, soaring just above the edge of the cloud. Dante quickly reached to grab it in hopes that Stefan had yet to see the creature, but as his fingers wrapped around the dragon, his footing teetered. For an instant, Dante believed he was going to fall over the side of the cloud, tumbling and twisting to his death. But at the last moment, a gust of wind blew him back, saving his life. Dante fell backwards onto the cloud, landing firmly on his butt. He clasped his hands tight together, hiding the dragon between them. "I'm not going to keep saving you," Stefan said. Stop trying to fall from the clouds. What a stupid way to die." Along with a small satchel, similar to Dante's own, Stefan had a fishing rod swung up along his heavy shoulders. "Don't make me reel you back in." Dante nodded. "Yes, Stefan." Dante took his dragon and stuffed the cloud creature deep inside his satchel. "Boy, what you messin' with? I don't got all day." "Just a moment." Dante held the seams of his satchel together. "What you got in there?" Dante continued fidgeting, but the feisty dragon was demanding to be set loose. "Nothing." The cloud dragon fought its way free of the satchel and darted upwards. "No!" Stefan squinted. "Is that one of those cloud creatures? What'd I tell you about making those?" The dragon flapped its sharp wings around Dante's head, playing. It thought they were playing, but they weren't. They were in danger. He wouldn't be able to save himself from his brother. He wouldn't be able to save himself from his brother's rage, but perhaps he could save the dragon. "Go, fly away, little dragon." Dante began to swat at the cloud dragon, trying to make it soar towards the ground. When the dragon caught sight of Stefan, it refused to listen to Dante's warnings. It soared seamlessly across the sky as if it had always belonged. "No, fly down, fly down!" Stefan snatched the dragon from the air. He held it there, and for a brief moment, Dante believed his brother was admiring his work. Instead, Stefan took the wings that Dante carved so delicately and snapped them as if they were made of bone. The dragon seized up and opened its jaws, and if it could make a sound, Dante knew it would have wailed in agony. "Stop!" Dante barely breathed the word. His brother was clouds away. He couldn't reach him in time to stop him. Stefan untwirled the dragon's tail slowly, seeming to enjoy the creature's pain. Then he took both his hands and shredded the dragon apart. Dante fell to his knees, the soft white of his cloud transforming into the same ashen gray as his brother's. "What'd I tell you, boy? We create storms, not these pretty little things." When Dante had told his mother how he'd admired the balloon artist, his mother's first reaction was to place cloud puffs into his squishy hands. She'd helped him form his first creations. As the years passed, the size of Dante's creations grew. When Dante looked through his spyglass, he noticed how the grounders pointed to the sky with awe spread across their faces. He thought he was making a difference on the world below. His mother always repeated one word to Dante: create. Dante kept himself surrounded by his own creations, while Stefan was taught the art of the storm: control. It was what was written on nearly every single one of his mother's notes to Stefan. No matter how often their mother drilled the word into Stefan's head, it didn't seem to make a difference. Stefan had always been cruel. He'd been created with a mixture of loneliness and lightning. He knew nothing about the art of creating. Stefan knew how to destroy. "Dante!" Stefan yelled. The memory of how life had been before unraveled. Quietly under his breath, a small act of defiance, Dante said, "Mom wanted us to create." A fury burned in Stefan's eyes, and a flicker of hurt. Dante ignored whatever he thought he saw. He knew the truth. His brother felt nothing but rage. "She isn't here. I am. Now get back to the island. We have work to do," Stefan roared. But realizing Dante wouldn't return to the island on his own, Stefan grabbed hold of his fishing hook. Stefan swung his arm back and threw his body forward. The line leapt across the sky before the hook latched onto Dante's cloud. Stefan reeled in Dante's solitary ashen cloud until their two clouds merged as one. Stand, Stefan demanded. Dante reluctantly rose, but he made himself meet Stefan's rigid stare. Stefan shoved his brother forward. Move. Dante forced his weakened legs to walk. Stefan led while Dante trailed behind. They walked on unsteady feet into the oncoming storm. So that was my excerpt from my story, Cloud Dragon. So thank you. I appreciate all the little claps. So yeah, and that is what I'm gonna read. I'm also gonna read just a short poem, super short. It was published, if you saw the full video that I posted on Facebook announcing Loch Norse, I read a short poem that this is my first published piece, and it was in Loch Norse Magazine, issue 6. So I'm just going to read this short poem because this is what got me started in Loch Norse and why I wanted to be a part of staff. So yeah, I'm going to read this short poem and then I'll hand it over to Cheyenne. So yeah, so this poem is titled Oceans. If suddenly you wake from the flickering of the bathroom bulbs, the endless hum of the ceiling fan, the burst of broken glass, and your first instinct isn't to claw across the treacherous tides of blankets for my safekeeping, then it's too late for us. So yeah, that's it. So thank you. So I'm gonna toss it over to Cheyenne, our other featured reader, graduating senior. So yeah, Cheyenne, take it away.
Should we all just pause to give an actual round of applause? Because unmute and then mute again, sort of thing.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So my name is Cheyenne Riley. I'm a graduating senior English major with a focus in honors. I think getting through this quarantine, what I've been doing is just watching a lot of TikToks just to keep myself afloat. I'm going to read poetry today, a few pieces that I have done one for Dr. Yoe's class for an upcoming project that I'm about to turn in, actually, and another for Dr. Kent Dreary's class, which I did last year. So this first poem is called Demographics, and it goes like this. How many dialects have died here? How many were allowed to crawl, weeping from the gunfire to safety? If you could hear them now, resurrected for only a moment, how many would speak to your soul if you heard the syllables slip from proud, preserved native tongues? They call them dead languages, as murder's too strong a word. That poem I just kind of wrote for my diverse voices class. We're learning a lot about like Appalachian poetry, and I got really interested in the idea of like how many cultures are kind of overshadowed and maybe even erased by like dominant narratives. So that was just kind of like my thoughts on that. And this next one is a cheesy love poem that I wrote about my boyfriend. So it's called New Jerusalem. He is the revolution that can't be stopped, the Molotov of vodka hearts, quivering haloed flame within their bottles. He is the grinding metal of upturned cars, shattered retail windows, and local explosions, all performed in major key and stunning technicolor. He is the archive of forbidden books bearing absolute truth, black magic, enlightenment, conspiracies, and government cover-ups, La Posie dans la rue. He is something else entirely, growing warm and strange within my chest, the butterfly weary of flapping its brittle wings because they've been ripped and broken before, and she's only just regaining feeling from the kite strings holding together each delicate scale. He is the last shiver of fear that falls away with yesterday's snow and leaves me brand new, breathless and white like a child. The lingering sensation of sleep to the freezing greets me in good night. The exalting burn of his kiss is the closest to heaven a reasonable sinner and godless heathen can hope to be. But the view is better from behind the gate. Civil war holds itself comfortably in the body of a boy who carries the love that Wilde died for, that we are too cynical to call by name. Thus Zarathustra speaks, wordlessly, from a soft, slow tongue, He claims my soul completely, lost in Aurora's lights and sirens cast on lovers' windows, my New Jerusalem. This is the last piece I have for tonight. It's also about region, just like the first one. I wrote it for Dr. Kent Drury's creative writing class, and it really got me into writing poetry. So it's called Elegy to Appalachia. This barren woman extends herself in defeat, becoming the base for our bitter sorrow. She has engulfed men whose fathers toiled in her blood before them. Their children's plow-shaped bodies accommodate stomachs full of pomegranate seeds. Bent spines and mud-colored fingernails mark the fruits of our labor, a predisposition to pain, in all its self-fulfilling prophecies. From La Terre, there is a seasoned impermanence within a womb of retail chains. Here Demeter weeps for her foolish daughter America. Her footprints leave a blight upon the corn. These days they speak too much of Uncle Sam's favorite son, an arrogant boy with unkind eyes and heavy shoulders. With blood on his hands, he'll tell us all how it wasn't his fault, how badly we will want to believe him. But in this age of Cain, brother and sister share the blame, with torches extended from each ruddy flank, shedding their stalked skins in fields of gray, as if the harvest meant anything. And thank you, that's all I have.
Yay! So now now we're gonna open up to, now that we finished with our featured readers, just want to give we're gonna start off with Jennifer Davis. Just introduce yourself, the piece that you're reading or pieces that you're reading, and answer the question, how have you been spending your time in quarantine?
Sorry, my camera's shut. How have I been spending my time in quarantine? I work and I walk a lot. I try to walk at least a mile every day, between 1 and 3. My liquor store is half a mile from my front door to their front door. So on my way back, I have weights. It works out really great. So I'm primarily a poet. So I'll read a couple of poems. Did you say 3 is okay? I'm looking at your photo for like a thumbs up or whatever. Okay. All right. This is so weird. All right. The first one is called Beater. Lemon drop shine rust bucket. I should have known what I was buying. The devil is in the details, they say. Crevices scraped of dust and coffee splatter. White walls in, evergreen air. Tires shined to Vanta black. Stains disappear in the suction of an upholstery cleaner, but they'll be back. They sleep near the surface. We find holiness in the dirtiest places. That's number 1. Let's see. Number 2, this one's an older one, but I feel like it's apropos at this time. It's called Rebirth of the Universe. The worlds look like different places under a new sun, fractals of memory through stained glass. The moment is still. Space is quieter than silence. We bend like light. Life is calm on the surface. Glass waters held back like a hopeful breath, holding. Supernova or landmine, the difference is nothing to us caught in a shockwave. And my last one, I just renamed very recently. I keep looking over here because I have 2 screens and I have all of you on like my other screen, but here's my camera. This one is called Christmas Morning Alone in My Ex-Husband's House. Blue spruce pocked and pollocked with light, thick ceramic mug full of coffee too hot to drink. I know this is peace, but I don't know how to swallow it. Rats still scratch the attic floor. Roof still puckers to whistle with the wind. I swirl cinnamon into cake batter, wipe the splatter from the counter, watch the chaos of a broken egg, split, spilled, and thoroughly beaten, morph into order. And that's all.
Yay.
Thank you, Jennifer. So now we are gonna go to Tessa Woody. Will be our next reader, our very own Loch Norse's very own art editor.
Hi. I'm normally not so quick to jump to read first, but I can only stay till 7:30, so I just wanted to jump in there. Sorry for not following the rules about hands. So what I like to do during quarantine, I've just been rewatching all the Marvel movies in like chronological order, which I haven't done yet. So yeah, I have two poems. The first one is one that I wrote yesterday, so it's very new, and it's just kind of like a fun performance poem. It's called Why I Deleted My Tinder Account. No, Tinder, it's not because I found somebody. The amount of guys out there that think it's attractive to hold a fish is very concerning. The amount of girls that take all their photos with Snapchat filters is also equally concerning. The amount of people who say, I love the office and going on adventures makes me want to venture myself off a cliff. The amount of guys outweigh the girls by tenfold. I'm surprised the guys matched with me anyways, so the girls are definitely not going to match with me. To the guys who flipped me off in 3 of 5 of their photos, my 13-year-old punk wannabe self would have loved you. I have a little respect for the guy who starts a conversation with, tell me a fun fact. They definitely mean about me, and at least they aren't asking to meet up at this very second. But damn, I started giving fun answers. Jeremy matches with me and asks me the same question for the 10th time. I say, octopi have 8 brains and are probably probes sent here by the aliens when they came to build the pyramids. He said, wow, that went from 100 to 200 real quick, and never answered back. I hope you're doing well, Jeremy. Hopefully you're avoiding the alien sees bys. Then, Ben, he asks me, do you think you'll ever fall in love again? I look at the screen and I answer back, no, I don't think I'll ever find a love like him again. And then I delete my account. So yeah, that was my poem, and I'm gonna do another one called The Tomb of the Black Jacket. I'm kind of mixing back and forth between the title, it's still in the works too. So, with gentle hands, I excavate the ball of black fabric. It smells exactly like the wood that encased it, roughly pungent. The urge to unravel it and slip my arms into its sleeves is almost as much as the fear of feeling it on my skin again. It fits like a glass slipper. Its fragility matches, mirroring the girl it once protected. And now, my reflection crumbles because at least she knew why she had to hide, why the inscriptions on her skin were placed. She had hope for when. Now it's when. And I don't know what I was supposed to know. Thank you.
So our next reader is going to be Nikki Moore. Hello, Nikki.
Hi. Can you hear me? If you want to nod or hi. Okay. I'll go ahead and turn on my camera so you're not starting or listening to a ghost. See how this goes. Okay. Hi. So what I've been doing in quarantine, aside from still a few hours a week for the writing center and keeping up with my class, I've actually been able to do a lot of writing, which makes it all very fresh. Maybe not particularly refined, but very therapeutic writing, so that's been nice. It's funny, like I always get sweaty when I read, and even like in a Zoom session, my hands are like dripping, absolutely drenched with sweat. Anyway, I'm gonna read 2 poems that have been written in the last 2 weeks, probably. The first one is called The Needs of Puppies and Their Mothers. She does not know how to love us in our adult bodies. She collects incense and oils and cleans the counters with vinegar water. adopts dogs with heart conditions and aggressive dispositions. She is the lunge without the bite, raised hackles and a submissive head to the ground. We don't know how to love her in her adult body. 5 years younger than I am now, she climbed the steep hill in the backyard until I bore down on her, forced my way out, 9 pounds of flesh and pulp from her blooming heat. She doesn't understand that which she cannot swaddle in the pink knit blanket, comfort with colorful band-aids and bubble gum. We are grown to the size of her and starving. She is 22, pushing us out, away, snarling. She pleads with us to come back, bears broken teeth when we sniff out her milk. So there's that one. And then next I have, this one is tentatively titled All the World is Green. It just sort of came to me. I like doing song titles every now and again, and I was listening to a lot of Tom Waits at the time. So All the World is Green. My side of the world is rounded like Papa's deep, fleshy heirlooms, sliced and sticky, that he spreads with helmins and showers with salt and pepper. They are ripe as the sun through the kitchen window of not quite clear glass, the turquoise of the honeycomb shade like an insect's wing, detached. The bi-level is opalescent by summer afternoon, white oak and hickory greens sweating through screen doors and thrift store miniskirts, melting through 3 shades of caboodle's lipstick. The garage is still, but for the metal swing. Things that want to move don't need wind. The utility bucket is sharp where it has been dragged against concrete, small arms lugging a dismembered Barbie around back, down the hill, to the wooded place. Chisels connect with rock blown out of the ground for the sake of the house. Its bones haven't broken yet, like the Barbie's leg, the back bedroom door, Papa's spine at the train yard. He is a sponge, porous, as malleable as the bed he'll die in. His skin is cool like Cokes from the downstairs fridge. His body is unhurried and labored, but I suspect he is more buoyant than us all, that he could move through water like August sun through the honeycomb shade. All right, that's it.
Thank you, thank you. Does anyone else? I don't see any more hand raises. Anybody else?
I can't raise my hand because I'm a moderator.
Right, okay, then Jasmine, you.
I'll read. I wasn't planning on it, but so you're gonna hear some older. I mean, I don't have anything new anyway. For those of you who don't know me, I actually did go to NKU for undergrad and grad school. I got my master's in English, so from the department. But now I'm the secretary of the English department, so you'll see me around eventually when we're ever in the building again. But anyway, so these poems, I'll read 3. They are from when I went to the study abroad class in Ireland as my very last class before I graduated. Jen was there too. Okay, and Nikki. So this one is called Low Swilly Sea Glass. On the banks of the Low Swilly, I fill my pockets with green, brown, and blue, remnants of nights long past, flashing, edgeless memories of Rulabula. Shards no longer sharp, glittering across the sand, Guinness, harp, Stella, tossed by hands the name of crack. Ocean's relentless patterns smooth the pieces over. Their danger is now reduced to pebbles and rebranded as shabby chic wind chimes. All right, so this next one is called The Matchmaker's Book. A little backstory, we actually met a matchmaker. He's the last matchmaker in Ireland, I think. He's pretty old, he lives in the country, he has an amazing accent. You can't understand what he says, but it's beautiful. All right. Some say love is a fossil. The matchmaker invites us in to witness an excavation. He presents his father's tome, ancient, fragile, but not yet an artifact. Its leather shell has been oiled by hands with desperate polish. 160 years of wishes collated, alphabetically by the first letter of their last hope. I stuff one more into the strata and pray it's not ossified. And the last one is called Jet Lag. I left home with its familiar smells and predictable ticking to discover that time is a construct, and it has constructed a deep fissure between yesterday, today, and my physical body, which can now be found slumped onto wet grass in St. Stephen's Green, shoving fistfuls of French fries into a ravenous chasm. And that is all.
Alrighty. Now our next reader, Thomas Trevor.
I don't know if you can hear me. This is the first time I've tried this. Can you hear
Yep.
me okay?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. I've probably been sequestered longer than many of you. So last week I wrote something that had the initial letters equal to the word. I started with the word quarantine. Quiet times are rare, but unifying us in solitude, abandoning connections, rejoice in health. Accept the reality, tend to yourself for those you love. Imagine the world beyond, a world so near. Keep calm to escape from the plague of fear. That's it.
Do we have anybody else who would like to read? Maybe you can't find the button. So Andrew, I saw your hand. You have to unmute Andrew?
So I'm actually, oh, I should start over. So I am Andrew. I'm a junior at NKU at the moment. And I am actually the one of the fiction editors for Loch Norse issue 9. So yeah, I am going to be reading, well, I'm going to be reading a piece of a much longer short story because I'd say the best way I've been passing my time in quarantine has actually been by writing. I started this short story over the summer last year, and I think I got it to 12 pages before this started, and now it is up to 33 and still going. So yes, I've had a productive break. But yeah, oh dang, where did I put it? All right, here we are. Oh, so for some context, this story is working title, Remember the Sabbath. And so the basic plot line up to this point, I'm taking a bit out of the middle just because I feel like it's the best part to read for this. So what's happened up to this point is that my narrator, Charlie, is gay, and he is dating a boy named Maddie. Maddie is the son of a Methodist reverend. She found out they were dating. There was some drama with that, and she eventually invited Charlie over to dinner to get to know him, and that went disastrously poorly. So now Charlie is at home after a day at school, wondering what the heck is going on with Maddie. So this is where we enter the scene. When he rang the doorbell, I was perched on the bottom stair, a few feet from the door, rocking back and forth. The second the chimes began, I was up like a shot, trying not to let the first chime end before I opened the door. He was in a baggy sweatshirt and his eyes were far away. He hung on the doorstep for a second, not seeming to notice the door had opened. Then he stepped inside and closed the door, locking it. Where have you been? I asked. Hello, I mean. I'm glad you're here. It's great that you're here. I was just worried you weren't answering my messages. I just wanted to know where you were. It's good. He moved past me and into the cramped living room where a card table covered Dad's old receipts and papers took up half the floor space. I'm sorry I wasn't in school. I called in sick and left home. It wasn't you. I just needed some time alone to think. Where did you go? He looked over at the end table where a few birthday cards from 2 months ago were still propped up, probably turning yellower every day from the sun streaming through the window. Maybe I should have cleaned in here instead of my bedroom. I just went into town, he said at last. I drove around for a while, spent some time in a park. I goofed around in the drugstore for a bit. I was good with anything as long as I could get away from the house. Well, I'm glad you're back, and I'm glad you're here. Are you feeling better? I guess so. He slipped his hands into the front pockets of the hoodie. Listen, Charlie, I'm sorry about last night. I kind of got upset at you. I probably shouldn't have. No. I sat down on the bottom step again. I didn't know what to do. I probably wasn't helping anything. Your mom said it probably wasn't a good idea to invite me over so soon. Yeah, he said. Well, brilliant of her to figure that out. It was what I said when she suggested it in the first place, but whatever. So, I said, has anything else happened with her? Did she say anything else after I left? No, she didn't bother me. She has parish meetings after school like usual, so she probably doesn't even know I'm gone. Well, that's good. Maybe things will be better once you see her again. Yeah. He didn't sound like he meant it. Maybe she'll turn into a completely different person by tomorrow. Anyways, though, it's nice to see you. He pulled me into a kiss, a deep, long kiss that seemed to go on forever. His mouth locked onto mine, and I stood there, his arms wrapping me in close. He began to tease apart my lips with his tongue, and I let him in as we began making out. This felt weird. We'd never done this in my house, in the place where I had lost my first tooth, where Mom had bandaged my knee after I jumped off the swing set in 3rd grade. I suppose this is what it was always like for Maddie at his house, home territory. Maddie pulled his lips from mine. I wanted to thank you, he said, for coming over. You didn't have to, and I know I gave you a hard time. It's just that she can really piss me off sometimes, but you were really cool about everything. It was nothing, I said. Thank you for not being mad at me. Why would I be mad at you? He snatched a quick kiss on my lips before letting me reply. I almost didn't want to respond. Maybe if I laughed it off, he'd just never mention anything we'd said at that meal. I felt like he thought I was taking her side. He said I kept siding with her, that I never listened to you. I just felt really bad about it afterwards. I was worried he didn't want to talk to me because of the way I acted at dinner. He smirked. Charlie, I've given up trying to get you to be what you aren't. You're nice. Not nice as in good or kind. I mean, I'm not saying you aren't those things, but completely separate from anything else, you're just nice. It can be annoying sometimes, but I'm fed up with being fed up with it. It's part of who you are. He snaked his body around mine and breathed into my ear. And who you are is turning me on right now. He teased my earlobe with his tongue, and my heart began to splutter like an engine. Then he gave the ear a light nibble, and I let out a soft moan. Can I get you anything to drink? I asked, twisting my ear out of reach before my knees gave out. Vodka with a splash of lemon, he said. It's been a long day. I need it. Ha ha. I turned towards the kitchen. Seriously, I can get you something. You're such a goody two-shoes. He laughed. Fine then, if you don't want to bartend, I'll take a Coke. I rifled in the pantry, moving aside Dad's beers until I found the box of Cokes in the back shelf. Here you go. I handed the can to Maddie, and he popped off the top with a flick of his thumb. There was a sharp hiss as he broke the seal, and the drink began to fizz. Thanks, he said after a long sip. So how was school? Did everybody miss me? Yeah, I said. They canceled all the classes. I think they figured out it was pointless if you weren't there. Figures. It's not like any of the teachers are interesting enough to keep the class awake on their own. All right, and I think I'm going to stop there. So thank you very much.
All right, so I'm Oni, and I'm going to be reading my fiction piece. It is based off a project that I wrote in a class with Dr. Bob Wallace, and it's based on a fictional rendition of what Frederick Douglass's African ancestors might have been like. And I based it off my country, my home country of Nigeria, which is in West Africa. So I'm going to quickly read through the brief introduction because it kind of gives some background to the story. And it's on page 16 of the online version. So little is known about Frederick Douglass's lineage beyond the names of his maternal grandparents. And in Douglass's second biography titled My Bondage and My Freedom, on page 43, there's a little bit more information about his family, and it says that his mother, Harriet Bailey, was the second of 12 children born to Betsy and Isaac Bailey, in whose cabin Frederick was born. So this short story of mine creates a fictional framework for Douglass's ancestral tree by imagining that his great-great-great-great-great-grandmother was from the fictional Mwajeke lineage of Southeast Nigeria. And the setting is in the fictional village of Adazi, and through the ability of the village shaman to see across oceans, The Mojeke clan has kept themselves updated on the lives of their descendants, in this case, Frederick's ancestors and Frederick Douglass himself. And this is a time period whereby Nigeria is still a British colony. So, oh, here we go. I hear multiple footsteps approaching the shrine. As the cockerel has yet to crow his greetings this Afo morning, I know that it's the Mojeke Ezinụlọ approaching, and Ezinụlọ means family. I rise from my crouch by the doorway and peer down Amadioha's hill, and Amadioha is the Igbo god of thunder. Through the early morning mist, I see that leading the way is Obidike Mojeke, and with him are his three wives, Ijoma, Chinyere, and Ngozi. As the ceremony that is about to be performed is not one for Nwatakiri, which means small children, at first I am surprised to see young Chibuzo in the back of the party. And I'm going to skip ahead a bit. Her mother Chinyere is bearing the alligator pepper and cowries, while Ijoma holds the required 5-man heights of white cloth. Ngozi, the youngest wife, balances a clay pot of palm oil on her head, as per my instructions. Finally, Obidike reaches the top of the hill, and as usual, in his hands is a basket of kola nuts that have never touched the ground. Otutuama Onu Amadioha, the whole family choruses, which means good morning, mouthpiece of the god Amadioha. As per the ritual, I respond by placing my hands on each of their heads before speaking. Ezinụlọ Mojeke, which means the Mojeke clan, declare to Amadioha why you have sought his presence today. We have come to seek that which was lost, is the reply. I gesture for the family to kneel and return into the shrine to retrieve the eye of Amadioha. The Mojeke Ezinụlọ comes to this hill every 10 years to perform the scrying ritual. Everyone in the village of Adazi knows this as it pertains to their royal family. As the current Dibia, which means the village native doctor, it is my duty to carry on the ceremony as my forefathers did. I pick up the eye of Amadioha, and its white ribbon is stark against the day's mist. The calabash that sits at the foot of Amadioha's statue has already been prepped for today by my boy, Buchi. It holds water from the stream thrice run over Amadioha himself. The Ezinụlọ members kneel as I emerge from the hut, and Obidike alone remains standing as befits his status as Igwe, which means king. I gesture for him to invoke the history of this gathering, and he begins. A pale people in search of land set out to conquer all. To make themselves feel bigger, they try to make others small. They lack knowledge, and so we should use them for menial tasks, not knowing that the villagers had thus begun to ask, who are these pales, and what is their intent for our land? Adazi will never fall into their hands. But sadly, in Adazi, with its boundary of stone, there existed a trader which to the villagers was unknown. For by the river, on an Eke market day, Anori, our daughter, was stolen away. Little Ogechi watched from the reeds and ran to inform their mother in speed. The invaders heard the noise and were forced to flee and abandoned the plan to steal not one but 3. With their weapons of clubs, spears, and machetes, so did the brave men chase after Ndi Onyoshi, which means thieves. In defeat they returned, for to their great sorrow, a big canoe had sailed with Anori down the river Iro. The town crier ran round, announcing the search had failed. The men beat their breasts and the women wailed. Many moons and rains have passed since then, but the Mojeke never forget their kin. Our daughters keep passing on their people's will, in spite of the Oimbo causing their blood to spill. And I'm gonna end there. And the word Oimbo means white people. So yeah.
Yeah, so Onya's piece starts on page 16 in the magazine, and so you can go check out their piece there and listen or read the rest of it. And yeah, so does anybody else want to read? You can hold up your hand or raise your hand or just unmute your mic if you are interested in reading. Anyone else? Any takers? Jennifer Whalen? Hello?
Hey, can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, cool. So I just wanted to say hey.
You. Tell everyone who you are. You're the one who started all this.
Yeah, so to many of you, I'm a stranger, but I'm Jen Whalen. I was the editor-in-chief way back in issue 1. So I have been watching from afar, and it's been really cool. When I was editor-in-chief, our staff was 4 people, and I know it's much bigger now, and I saw y'all grew out of the venue that we had at Bowtie, and it's just been really awesome to see this. Obviously, why I can be here at your launch is not great, but I am happy that I'm here, and I feel very nervous. I wasn't planning on speaking, so I feel a little nervous, but yeah, it's really great to be here. So I just wanted to say hey. I can read something if that would be cool. I can do that. Okay, cool. Let me find something real quick here. All right, so way before this moment, I've been interested in both physical solitude and emotional solitude. So that's something I've written nationally, so I guess I'll read a poem about. Every meadow is a lesson, wide span. The grasses stretch, doesn't reach anywhere, just winds back in and touches itself. The closest person I love is 60 miles away. To be wrapped in familiar arms, I would wait an hour if they sped to me. I construct these little formulas to articulate my lonely. How long I've wanted my own empty dryer basin. Now having it, I wear 3 outfits a day to even fill it every so often. When people mistake their tears solely for beauty, they've missed the center. Astronauts tearing at the size of the world, how they can cover its whole round with a thumb. No one wants to be useless, not even the world. My lonely will never know a lonely quite like its own. It is a photograph it can't zoom out of. The outermost I've seen the world is from an airplane. Snow-dipped tips of Rockies. My lonely was most of me that morning. I won't call the person 60 miles away. I'll love them when their headlights sweep my windows, but each inch moves in minutes, and if I feel fuller before their arrival, what will I explain? There's a teensy moth in the house, winging over and around my vision. Look how flighty and close it is. It thinks I am a light. Woo! Well, congrats again to everyone. This is very awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Amazing.
So do we have anybody else who would like to read any of their work? You can raise your hand over on the participants window, or you can just unmute your mic and start talking if you can't figure out where that is. So, any takers? Alrighty, we sure? No one else? Last call, this is it? All right. So, oh, Sonny just joined in. Hello. Do you want to read? You just joined in. This is last call for anybody who would like to read before we end our virtual open mic night / release party for issue 9. Alrighty. Okay then. So yeah, this is fun. I think this is a fun, cool new experience, even though under, kind of terrible circumstances, but it was this is an interesting and cool thing to do, and I'm glad we got to be here and got to do it. And I just want to thank everybody for coming and thank everybody for being here and celebrating the release of issue 9. You can check that out on our social media page. It's on the website as well. I linked that in the email that you all received, so you can go check that out and read through all the amazing work that NKU students put into it, and all the writers and artists and photographers, just amazing, amazing work. And I just want to say it was a huge honor to be the editor-in-chief of Loch Norse Magazine and hosting all these open mic nights. I know you guys are probably sick of seeing my face this past year at all these open mic nights. So yeah, but I'm sure you'll see my face in the future at the future open mic nights that Chloe Cook and Anna Leach are going to be taking over for me as co-editor-in-chiefs, and I know they're going to do an amazing, amazing job, and I can't wait to see where they take Loch Norse. And yeah, and also staff applications are open, so if you are wanting to be on staff, NKU undergraduate students who want to apply, the link is also on our social media page, and I linked it in the invitation email as well, so you can go and do that. It's due May 1st, so that's 2 weeks from today if you're interested. So yeah, that is that. Thank you all for coming. Again, big round of applause to all our graduating seniors and all that, yes. Yay! So yeah, and I hope you all have an amazing, amazing rest of your amazing weekend. And hopefully we'll get back to rolling and things in the fall, and hopefully things will be getting back to normal here soon. So